G'day mates, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a bit of a different one. I got reached out to by Nintendo to try out the new Metroid Dread game on Switch, and I haven't got a chance to try out a lot of new games on my channel, but I'm a bit of a boomer. You guys know this. I'm pushing 29 now, and I've been a huge fan of Metroid since I was a little kid, and I don't think a lot of you guys in my audience would have had a chance to try Metroid, or maybe some of you have, and you want to try the newest installment, and I'm here to convince you why you should. This game is absolutely incredible. When you take a game that I used to play on just old consoles, I'm talking on less than 60 FPS TVs, and I've now got it on Switch where I can take it and dock it into my full HD TV. I can take it hands-free, take it with me. I was actually playing this the other day when I was unfortunately in the hospital. One of very few things can distract me, and gaming is one of them, and this new game is absolutely incredible. If you're a long-term fan of platformers or you're brand new to platformer games like Metroid, I'm going to talk you through why this is a must-try game of the year. I almost forgot the best part. If you guys want to try out Metroid Dread on the Nintendo Switch, you can download it for free on the Nintendo eShop or go to nintendo.com.au for more details. So you can try it out before you even buy it. As you go through Metroid Dread, you're going to unlock so many extra abilities that make the combat an extra element harder. And if you guys know me, I'm an old school gamer. I do really like that level of difficulty. I like to feel like I'm being challenged. I like to feel like I'm not having my hand held through every single level of games that I play. Metroid's pacing is incredibly fun because it's free to explore how you want. You're going to get different power-ups. You're going to level up. You're going to increase your rocket slots, so you're going to be better at fighting harder enemies. So you can power through the game at whatever pace you're able to keep up with. But trust me, you're going to be challenged. There's going to be points where you're going to hit boss fights, or you're going to hit special rooms or enemies where you're going to have to think. You're going to have to go back, potentially backtrack, get some new power-ups, get some new levels, and try to make sure that your weapons are a little bit more upgraded, because you're not going to be able to make your way through. But I like that. It's not telling you go left, go down, go up. It's letting you have the freedom to go where you want. But at the same time, the storyline elements are still woven into that movement. The game keeps up with your pacing. If you are just going straight through all the main missions, you're going straight to the very end, and you can keep up with the pacing and beat these bosses, which honestly, kudos and hats off to you, because these fights really take you kind of having to step back, take a think about what you're doing, and really approach it from a different vantage. Some of these boss fights, when they started, I thought I wasn't gonna be able to beat them, but then as I progressed, I was getting so much better at kind of, weaving all the different abilities I have together, all the different powers, and when I finally won, it was such a satisfying feeling. Or if things are just a little bit too hard, you backtrack, you open up the map, which is just incredibly extensive. You go find some areas you hadn't previously discovered, and you'll start to realize you potentially missed some of those power-ups that you really needed to take on that current fight. When it comes to the actual feel and look of Metroid, this is what was so crazy to me. It's a game that feels so nostalgic and so reminiscent of the old games that I used to play when I was younger on my old school Nintendo devices, but now it has updated graphics, but it still feels familiar in a way. The movement, it just all feels so fluid, and the combat and the way you weave it all together, but then you have these added graphics, you have the higher frame rate, the game feels so fluid, there was no stutters whatsoever, whether I was playing the game holding or whether it was docked. You still have those old elements you remember and you love, but then you have the new updated graphics, so everything feels fresh and fun. If you're a Metroid veteran, don't worry, this game does have plenty of completely new aspects as well. The stealth aspect that the EMMI robots or the EMI robots bring is incredible. Basically, you're going to get to sections of the map where you just can't get past. You cannot fight your way through this. No amount of power-ups or fighting ability is going to get you through. You need to stealth. You need to be strategic. You're going to have good understanding of the map and have a clear goal of what you want to do next. I found myself just with the fluid combat and movement running through this game at a breakneck pace. I'd get to the boss fights, I'd have adrenaline pumping after I beat them, but when you get to these certain sections, you really have to slow it down and think about what you want to do, because if you get caught out by these, you're restarting, you're gonna have to come back again. I was only able to counter them a few times. You basically have to rely on not being caught, but I love this element. It really changed up the pacing and made things feel fresh. It didn't feel like I was just hurtling through the game at full pace and I got to the end and I'm just breaking out in a sweat. It really made me stop and have to appreciate these levels before I've ramped up the pacing again. If you guys don't know this about me, when I play single player games, I'm a perfectionist. I want to discover everything, I want to unlock everything, and I want to locate everything. And the way Metroid weaves this into this most recent game is incredible. There'll be certain areas that you cannot get to and you cannot unlock until you go further into the game to get your abilities. But then when you come back, you're not kind of just dredging through it at the same pace you were, because now that you have a lot of your combat power-ups, you can just power your way through the enemies and then unlock these new areas to discover new parts of the plot, new parts of the storyline, or just experience new areas entirely. You're going to go through areas with water, you're going to go through crazy tunnels, you go through lava fields. It is a beautiful looking game, and it's fun to go back and experience all of this and discover all these areas, but I don't have to go back and do it at a child's pace. I get to go back, power my way through it, realize how far I have progressed while playing this game, and still be able to get that, that beautiful, satisfying 100% completion rate. Because you can charge straight through and beat the entire game if you want to and go straight for the main storyline. Maybe you're that old school platformer speedrunner style, but for me, someone who likes to go back and experience things, it was really nice. And the way the map actually utilizes this, it makes it a lot more clear areas you have discovered or areas you need to go back to, and that is quite often what happens. You're not being given a guide on how to play this game or where to go next or where to go through. Quite often it's just going back to the map, realizing there's an area you haven't discovered, that little tickle in the back of your mind that tells you, I need to go figure out what that is. You go back and you experience something completely unique. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Nintendo for sponsoring today's video and giving me a chance to try out Metroid Dread and go back to an earlier stage in my gaming. It really did bring back so much nostalgia. I was reminiscent, but it also made me excited for gaming going forward, taking things that I used to love and improving on them and making them even better. This truly did Metroid franchise so much justice, and I have to give a big shout out to Nintendo for that. So thank you for sponsoring today's video. Thank you to you guys for making it to the end. I know this kind of content's a little bit different on my channel, but I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'd like to bring in more games, and bringing back one from my childhood that hopefully you guys can now go and experience was a special one for me. Remember guys, if you want to try out Metroid Dread on the Nintendo Switch, you can for free. You just got to download it on the Nintendo eShop or go to nintendo.com.au for more details, so you can try it out before you even buy it. So if you